You thought the wait meant you were forgotten, but what if the wait was actually shaping the love that could finally last? Stay with this message, because the season you almost gave up in may be the very reason your soulmate will recognize you. The waiting season before soulmate love arrives is often the most misunderstood chapter of a person's life, because on the surface it looks like loneliness, delay, rejection, or even punishment, but beneath that surface something far deeper and far more intentional is taking place, something that the soul understands long before the mind ever does. And this season is not empty time, it is not wasted time. It is not God forgetting about you, it is the quiet, unseen preparation where your heart is being shaped to recognize a love that will change you forever, because soulmate love is not meant to arrive when you are desperate, broken, or searching for someone to save you. It arrives when you are becoming someone who can stand in love without losing themselves, and that is why the waiting season feels so intense, because it strips away illusions, attachments, and false hopes that would have destroyed the connection if it had arrived too early. And many people think the delay means they are unlovable, but in truth the delay means the love coming for them is too sacred to be rushed, too powerful to be careless with, and too aligned to be placed into chaos, because real soulmate love does not come to fill a void, it comes to meet you where you are whole, and the waiting season exists to teach you the difference between wanting love and being ready for it, and during this time you may watch others fall in love easily, get married, build lives, and you might wonder why it seems so simple for them and so hard for you, but what you don't see is that your path is different not because it is worse, but because it is deeper, and depth always requires time, because shallow things form quickly but profound things take patience, and this season teaches you patience not as suffering but as trust, trust that what is meant for you cannot miss you, and what misses you was never meant to stay. And this is often the season where past relationships collapse, where people walk away without explanation, where connections fade, not because you failed, but because they were never designed to go the distance with the version of you that is emerging, and soulmate love cannot arrive while you are still holding on to someone who only loved the idea of you and not your truth, and so the waiting season gently or sometimes painfully removes those people, and you may feel abandoned. But in reality you are being protected from settling, and settling is the greatest enemy of soulmate love, because the moment you accept less than what your soul recognizes, you delay what was meant to find you, and the waiting season exists to break your addiction to almost love, to inconsistent love, to love that feels familiar but drains you, because soulmate love does not drain you, it steadies you, it grounds you, it feels calm even when it is intense, and until you learn that difference, the universe will keep you waiting, not to hurt you, but to teach you discernment, and this is also the season where you learn how to sit with yourself, how to hear your own thoughts without distraction, how to face your wounds without running into someone else's arms to avoid the pain, and this is where many people fail the waiting season, because they confuse distraction with healing, and they think being busy, dating endlessly, or filling time with noise means they are moving forward, but true preparation happens in stillness. And soulmate love recognizes stillness, because it is not chaotic, it is not dramatic, it does not need to prove itself through pain, and if you have lived through heartbreak after heartbreak, it is because your soul was being trained to recognize peace when it finally arrives, and the waiting season is also where your standards rise quietly, not because you become demanding, but because you become clear, clear about what you will no longer tolerate, clear about how you deserve to be spoken to, chosen, respected, and loved, and clarity is dangerous to the wrong people, which is why they leave, and clarity is magnetic to the right one, which is why they will recognize you instantly when the time is right, and many people fear the waiting season because it feels like nothing is happening, but in spiritual truth everything is happening, alignment is happening, timing is happening, internal shifts are happening. And the reason soulmate love often arrives suddenly is because it was forming slowly within you long before you met them, and this is why when you finally meet your soulmate, it doesn't feel like a chase, it feels like recognition, like remembering something you forgot you knew, and that recognition only happens because the waiting season cleared the noise, and if you are currently in this season, feeling tired of waiting, tired of hoping, tired of being strong, understand this: the waiting season ends not when you force love, not when you beg for signs, not when you compare your journey to others, it ends when you stop resisting where you are, because acceptance is the final lesson, and acceptance does not mean giving up, it means trusting that your life is not late, your love is not lost, and your story is not behind, it is unfolding in an order that protects your heart, and soulmate love arrives when waiting is no longer painful, when you no longer need love to validate your worth, because that is when love can arrive without becoming an idol. And this is why the waiting season feels like isolation, because it is weaning you off dependence, and teaching you companionship with yourself, so that when soulmate love arrives, it becomes an addition, not a replacement, and if you are still waiting, it is because there is one more layer being refined, one more lesson being integrated, one more version of you being prepared, and the moment you stop asking, when will it come, and start asking, who am I becoming, you are closer than you realize. Because soulmate love does not arrive to save you from your life, it arrives to walk with you in it, and the waiting season is where you learn how to walk alone without feeling empty, so that when you walk together, you walk in strength, not fear. As the waiting season stretches on, something subtle but powerful begins to shift inside you, even if you cannot name it yet, because this season is not only about preparing you to meet your soulmate, it is about preparing you to recognize them without confusion, fear, or self-betrayal, and that recognition is rare, because many people meet their soulmate energy multiple times but fail to choose it due to unhealed wounds, unresolved fears, or old patterns that still control their decisions, and the waiting season exists to loosen the grip of those patterns, to expose the ways you once confused intensity with intimacy, attention with affection, and attachment with love, and this exposure can feel uncomfortable, because it forces you to confront versions of yourself that settled for crumbs while convincing yourself it was a feast, and this is why loneliness in the waiting season feels different from ordinary loneliness. Because it is not simply the absence of another person, it is the shedding of an old identity, the one that believed love must be earned through suffering, silence, or self-sacrifice, and soulmate love cannot coexist with that belief, because soulmate love is mutual, intentional, and anchored in presence, not anxiety, and during this season you may notice that your tolerance for inconsistency drops, your patience for emotional games fades, and connections that once excited you now leave you feeling drained or indifferent, and this is not because you have become cold, it is because your nervous system is recalibrating, learning what safety feels like instead of what chaos feels like, and safety often feels boring to a wounded heart, which is why the waiting season must retrain your heart to associate peace with love, and not danger with passion, and this retraining takes time, because your subconscious must unlearn years of conditioning. And many people sabotage their soulmate connection because when peace finally arrives, it feels unfamiliar. And they mistake unfamiliarity for lack of chemistry, but the waiting season slowly teaches you that real chemistry does not feel like panic, it feels like calm excitement, like being seen without needing to perform, and this is why during this time you may feel detached from dating altogether, not because you have given up, but because your soul is no longer interested in repeating cycles that no longer match your growth. And growth often looks like withdrawal before expansion, like silence before alignment, and in this silence you begin to hear your intuition more clearly, and intuition is the language soulmate love speaks fluently, because soulmate love does not require guessing, decoding, or chasing, it communicates through clarity, consistency, and choice, and the waiting season sharpens your intuition by forcing you to sit with it instead of overriding it with hope, fantasy, or fear of being alone. And you may realize how many times in the past your intuition warned you but you ignored it because you wanted the story to work more than you wanted the truth, and soulmate love will never require you to ignore your intuition, because it aligns with it naturally, and this is why timing is everything, because if soulmate love arrives before intuition becomes stronger than attachment, you would miss it or mishandle it, and the waiting season also humbles you, because it strips away the illusion that you can control love through effort alone, that if you are good enough, patient enough, understanding enough, someone will finally choose you, and this belief quietly places responsibility for other people's behavior onto your worth, and the waiting season dismantles this belief by showing you that love is not something you earn by overgiving, it is something that meets you when you are aligned, and alignment cannot be forced, it can only be allowed, and allowance requires trust, and trust is built in waiting. And you may notice during this season that you become less reactive, less desperate for answers, less obsessed with signs and timelines, and more grounded in the present, and this grounding is not resignation, it is readiness, because soulmate love requires presence, and presence cannot exist in someone who is constantly projecting into the future or clinging to the past, and the waiting season pulls you into the now, sometimes through loss, sometimes through disappointment, sometimes through solitude, but always through lessons that bring you back to yourself. And this is why many people meet their soulmate right after they stop actively searching, because searching often carries resistance, fear, and expectation, while presence carries openness, neutrality, and receptivity, and soulmate love is attracted to receptivity, not pursuit, and this does not mean you stop living, loving, or engaging with the world, it means you stop forcing outcomes, and force is the opposite of flow. And soulmate love moves through flow, through synchronistic timing that feels effortless in hindsight, and the waiting season aligns you with that flow by teaching you surrender, not surrender as weakness, but surrender as wisdom, the wisdom of knowing that what is truly meant for you will meet you without you having to abandon yourself, and if you are still waiting, it is because your soul is learning to stand firm in that wisdom, and every time you choose yourself, every time you walk away from what does not honor you, every time you trust your inner knowing over external validation, you shorten the distance between you and your soulmate, because soulmate love is not delayed by time, it is delayed by misalignment, and alignment happens internally first, always, and when it locks into place, the external meeting becomes inevitable, and that inevitability is what makes soulmate love feel so different, because it does not arrive as a question, it arrives as an answer. And the waiting season is where the question dissolves, there comes a point in the waiting season where the pain no longer screams but whispers, where the longing softens into understanding, and this is often the most dangerous and most sacred phase, because this is where many people mistake peace for emptiness and almost step back into old patterns just to feel something familiar again, but if you stay, if you resist the urge to return to what once hurt you simply because it is known, something extraordinary begins to happen. You begin to realize that the waiting season was never about waiting for another person, it was about waiting for yourself to arrive fully, and this arrival is quiet, almost unnoticeable, but once it happens, everything shifts, because you stop bargaining with life, you stop asking why things happened the way they did, and you start trusting that every ending, every delay, every missed connection was redirecting you, not rejecting you. And this trust changes the frequency you operate on. Because desperation repels aligned love while grounded acceptance attracts it, and soulmate love is extremely sensitive to frequency, it cannot attach to fear, it cannot anchor in insecurity, and this is why the waiting season patiently removes those energies from your system, layer by layer, through experiences that force you to face them instead of avoiding them. And during this phase you may notice that you no longer feel the urge to explain yourself excessively, to prove your value, or to chase clarity from people who offer confusion, and this is a sign that your self-respect has matured, and self-respect is one of the final gateways soulmate love passes through before arriving, because soulmate love requires two people who can stand in their truth without shrinking or inflating themselves to be chosen, and this maturity is not arrogance, it is calm confidence, the kind that does not announce itself, but is deeply felt, and people around you may start responding to you differently, with more respect, more interest, or sometimes more distance, because not everyone can access you at this level, and that is okay, because the waiting season is also a sorting process, it sorts who can meet you where you are and who can only love versions of you that no longer exist, and letting go of those people may feel bittersweet, because there may still be affection, memories, or gratitude, but soulmate love does not grow in nostalgia, it grows in presence, and presence demands space, and this space is what the waiting season creates, and as this space expands, you begin to feel an internal stability that does not depend on external validation, and this stability is what allows soulmate love to enter without destabilizing your life, because true soulmate connections do not come to disrupt your peace, they come to share it. And this is why when soulmate love arrives, it often feels surprisingly calm, even if the emotions are deep, because your nervous system recognizes safety, and safety feels like home, and many people expect soulmate love to feel like fireworks constantly, but fireworks burn out quickly, while soulmate love feels like warmth, like something that can last through seasons. And the waiting season recalibrates your expectations so you do not confuse sustainability with lack of passion, and this recalibration is essential, because many people lose their soulmate by chasing intensity over consistency, and consistency is the language soulmate love speaks fluently, and during this phase you may also notice a shift in how you relate to time. You stop measuring your life by milestones you have not reached yet and start valuing moments you are living now, and this shift removes pressure from your future, and pressure suffocates love, while ease invites it, and soulmate love arrives in ease, not in urgency, and this is why it often arrives when you are not actively searching, because searching often implies lack, while living fully implies abundance, and abundance is magnetic, and this does not mean you no longer desire love, it means desire is no longer heavy, it is light, hopeful, and unattached desire is powerful, because it allows love to come in its own form, not the form you imagined, and soulmate love often arrives differently than expected, because it must bypass your old patterns to reach you. And if it looked exactly like what you thought you wanted before the waiting season, you might reject it without realizing it. And this is why the waiting season subtly rewires your preferences, not by lowering your standards, but by aligning them with what actually nourishes you, and nourishment is the true measure of soulmate love, not excitement alone, not chemistry alone, but how you grow together, how safe you feel together, how supported you are in becoming your highest self. And the waiting season teaches you to recognize nourishment by first learning how to nourish yourself, and once you can do that, you no longer cling to anyone who drains you, and this non-attachment is the final test, because soulmate love cannot attach to need, it attaches to choice, and when you choose yourself consistently, you signal readiness, and readiness is felt energetically long before it is visible physically, and this is why just before soulmate love arrives, many people experience a sense of completion, not completion of their life, but completion of their searching, and this sense is not dramatic, it is quiet. Like a deep exhale after holding your breath for years, and that exhale is the doorway, and on the other side of it, love is already moving toward you. Just before soulmate love physically enters your life, there is often a strange stillness, a pause that feels almost unreal, as if the universe is holding its breath, and during this time nothing dramatic seems to happen on the outside. But internally you may feel an unexplainable calm mixed with a quiet anticipation, not excitement driven by fantasy, but a grounded sense that something has shifted, and this is not coincidence, because soulmate love does not arrive abruptly into chaos, it arrives into alignment, and alignment feels like stillness, and this is why many people overlook this moment, because they expect signs to be loud, but the truest signs are subtle, and in this phase you may notice that you are less reactive to triggers that once controlled you, less emotionally hooked by people who would have once pulled you off balance, and this emotional neutrality is not numbness, it is mastery, the mastery of self that the waiting season was always leading you toward, and mastery is attractive at the soul level, because soulmate love is drawn to stability, not volatility. And this is why when soulmate love finally appears, it often comes through ordinary circumstances, a casual interaction, an unexpected meeting, a moment that does not announce itself as life-changing, and yet something inside you recognizes it immediately, not through overwhelming emotion, but through familiarity, like meeting someone you already know, and this recognition is not logical. It does not come from shared interests, appearances, or perfect timing, it comes from resonance, from the way your nervous system relaxes in their presence, from the way conversation flows without effort, from the absence of performance. And this is why soulmate love feels different from past connections, because you do not feel the urge to impress, to hide parts of yourself, or to rush intimacy, and rushing was always a sign of fear, while patience is a sign of trust, and soulmate love trusts itself, and during this phase you may also notice that external circumstances begin to align effortlessly, obstacles that once felt insurmountable soften, communication becomes clear, timing works in your favor, and this is not because life suddenly becomes perfect, but because you are no longer resisting it. And resistance was the only thing blocking flow, and soulmate love moves through flow, and this flow feels natural, almost mundane, and this is where many people become confused, because they expect soulmate love to feel extraordinary at all times, but true extraordinariness often feels normal, because it fits, and fitting does not create friction, and friction was what you were used to, not what you were meant for. And the waiting season trained you to release attachment to friction so you could recognize fit, and as the connection unfolds, you may notice that this love mirrors you in unexpected ways, not by repeating your wounds, but by reflecting your growth, and this reflection can feel confronting, because soulmate love holds you accountable to the version of yourself you became in the waiting season, and you can no longer hide behind old excuses, because this love meets you at your level, and asks you to stay there. And this is why soulmate love requires ongoing choice, not just a magical meeting, because recognition opens the door, but commitment keeps it open, and the waiting season prepared you for this commitment by teaching you consistency with yourself, and consistency with yourself is the foundation of consistency with another, and during this phase you may also feel moments of fear arise, not because something is wrong, but because something is right. And the ego fears loss more when it finally has something real, and this fear may whisper doubts, try to sabotage peace, or resurrect old narratives, but the difference now is that you can hear those whispers without obeying them, and this is growth, and growth is what protects soulmate love from destruction, because love itself is not fragile, unhealed people are, and the waiting season healed you enough to hold love without breaking it, and as this connection deepens, you may realize that soulmate love does not complete you, it complements you. And this realization removes pressure, because you no longer expect one person to be everything, and this balance allows love to breathe, and breathing is essential for longevity, and this is why soulmate love feels sustainable, not overwhelming, deep but not consuming, passionate but not chaotic, and this balance is the true miracle, because it is rare, and it is earned, not through effort, but through alignment. And alignment was built in waiting, and if you look back, you may finally understand why it had to take this long, why certain people had to leave, why certain doors had to close, because if any of them had stayed open, this one would never have appeared, and soulmate love arrives not so you can forget your past, but so you can make peace with it, because it no longer defines you, and this peace allows love to grow forward instead of backward. And forward-growing love is the kind that lasts, and lasts not because it is perfect, but because both souls are ready to walk together without abandoning themselves, and the waiting season ensured that readiness, quietly, patiently, and perfectly. Once soulmate love has entered your life, the waiting season does not disappear completely, it transforms, because waiting was never just about time. It was about patience, awareness, and emotional maturity, and those qualities do not vanish when love arrives. They become the foundation that allows the relationship to grow without collapsing under expectation, and this is where many people misunderstand soulmate love. Believing that once the connection is made, everything should feel effortless forever, but true soulmate love is not effortless, it is conscious, and consciousness requires presence, accountability, and continuous choice, and the waiting season trained you for this by teaching you how to sit with discomfort without fleeing, how to communicate without defensiveness, and how to love without losing yourself. And these lessons become invaluable once two lives begin to intertwine, because soulmate love does not remove challenges, it changes how challenges are faced, and instead of conflict feeling like a threat, it becomes a doorway to deeper understanding, and this shift only happens because both souls have learned not to equate disagreement with abandonment, and the waiting season often healed abandonment wounds quietly, by forcing you to stand alone long enough to realize you will survive even if someone leaves. And this realization removes fear from love, and love without fear is powerful, because fear is what creates control, jealousy, and emotional manipulation, and soulmate love cannot thrive in those conditions, and this is why when soulmate love matures, it feels spacious, not suffocating, and both individuals continue to grow, not in parallel isolation, but in shared evolution, and this shared evolution is the divine purpose of soulmate union, not just romance, not just companionship, but mutual expansion, and you may notice that being with your soulmate inspires you to become more honest, more disciplined, more aligned with your values, not because they demand it, but because their presence mirrors your potential, and this mirroring can be uncomfortable at times, because growth is uncomfortable, but unlike past relationships, this discomfort does not feel unsafe, it feels purposeful, and purpose is what gives love depth beyond attraction, and this depth is what allows soulmate love to endure seasons of change. Because life will change, circumstances will shift, roles will evolve, and the version of you that met may not be the version that stays forever, and soulmate love understands this. It allows evolution instead of resisting it, and the waiting season prepared you for this flexibility by breaking rigid expectations, teaching you that control does not create security, trust does, and trust is built over time through consistency. And consistency was the hidden curriculum of the waiting season, and this is why soulmate love often feels steady rather than dramatic, and steadiness may seem unromantic to those addicted to chaos, but steadiness is what allows intimacy to deepen, because intimacy requires safety, and safety requires predictability, and predictability is not boredom, it is reliability, and reliability is rare, and once experienced, it becomes priceless, and in soulmate love you may also notice that silence feels comfortable, that you do not need constant reassurance, constant excitement, or constant validation, because presence itself becomes fulfilling, and this fulfillment does not come from dependency, it comes from mutual appreciation, and appreciation is the antidote to entitlement, which destroys many relationships. And the waiting season often humbled you enough to appreciate love when it arrives instead of taking it for granted, and gratitude becomes a quiet thread that runs through the relationship, not loud or performative, but deeply felt, and this gratitude anchors love during difficult moments, reminding both souls why they chose each other, and choice is key, because soulmate love is not destiny acting alone, it is destiny meeting free will, and both must participate, and this is where divine timing reveals its full meaning, because timing did not just bring you together, it brought you together at a moment when both were capable of choosing love daily, not just feeling it occasionally, and this daily choice is what transforms soulmate connection into lifelong partnership, and partnership is where love moves from emotion into action, from words into habits, from intention into reality, and this is where the true beauty of soulmate love unfolds, not in grand gestures, but in small, consistent acts of care, understanding, and respect. And the waiting season trained your eyes to see the value of these small acts, because when you have waited long enough, you no longer chase intensity, you cherish stability, and stability does not dull love, it deepens it, and deep love is quiet but unshakable, and if you ever fear losing soulmate love, remember this, what is aligned does not leave without reason, and what requires you to betray yourself to keep was never meant to stay, and the waiting season taught you that too, and this wisdom becomes the safeguard of the relationship, protecting it from fear-driven decisions, and as time passes, you may realize that the waiting season was not something you endured to reach love, it was something that shaped you to sustain it, and without it, even the most beautiful connection would have collapsed under unmet expectations, unresolved wounds, and unexamined fears, and so the waiting season does not end, it lives on within you as patience, discernment, and trust, quietly supporting the love you once thought you were waiting for, but were actually becoming ready to receive.